Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, The Week in Games. I'm starting out with a new camera on my phone this week, so that's exciting for me. It means my playthroughs will have a little bit more quality to them, despite the fact that I'm in them. Christmas shopping is in full force. I could tell that already. We're actually, we're getting down to the wire in my house. I usually start my shopping in September, and I'm woefully late this year for a variety of reasons. Not the least of which is I am a grandfather, as we all know, and I'm excited about that. I am Grandolph Claus. I have the T sweatshirt to prove it. Yes, I do. So I do notice that I'm at a point of saturation now where my Christmas list has more board game accessories than board games. I don't know if any of you are kind of like run into that sort of phase of life yet where and I also keep a sort of interested list of games because I know that I'm guaranteed not to swoop them up in a moment of passionate decision. I don't know if you all do that, but that's what I do. Like, yeah, these games are on the cusp of, yeah, they might be interesting. I put those on the Christmas list, and that way I still get them, and I don't have to, I don't lack the willpower, or I do lack the willpower to be able to grab them before someone else buys them for me. But most importantly, I love shopping for fledgling gamers. This is the time of year when I start getting questions like, hey, you're into those board games, right? What's a good game for Aunt Mavis? I love those questions. I do, despite my mocking tone. I love to be able to help people just kind of go, hey, because games are for fun, and in this life, it's good to promote fun and people enjoying themselves. So with that, let's get to the news. All right, we have a game called Sniper Elite that's hitting board game Kickstarter, or that's hitting Kickstarters. It's a game by Rebellion Unplugged. It's a new division, and it's interesting because I played all the Sniper Elite games on Steam, and the fact that they have a new Unplugged division is pretty righteous. I'm looking forward to see if they can do a good job. I mean, we've already had League of Legends with their mechs and minions spin out. We have all kinds of other games coming out from video game developers who are making board games based on some of their video games. We're seeing that flux. So Sniper Elite will be interesting to me. I've played a few games of tactical combat in this year that I thought were compelling. We'll see what happens next year. In other news, Top Gun strategy game is purported to be out in early 2020. Now, it's not. Yeah, it's if you look at the description of the game, it's a little murky what it is. The idea is that you're not always in the air. Sometimes you play volleyball to intimidate and then earn rewards, and then you have the air. I'm just like, supplies are limited, so don't put on the brakes or it'll fly right by. I would mock this senselessly, except for the fact that this comes from the think tank of Prospero Hall, which has also done The Art of the Chill with Bob Ross, which was not a bad game. Villainous, which was a decent game. Horrified, which was a great game. And Kenny G's Keeping It Sexy, which we won't even mention. Of course, they also did the Donner Dinner Party. So, hey, I don't know. But I don't know. Will it take my breath away? Will I be playing it with the boys? Will I feel the need? Okay, I'll stop now. Anyway, let's get to my question of the week. Okay, so question of the week is, what is your favorite Christmas game? Now, for me, of course, it has to be Die Hard, the board game. And, of course, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, because if it's not, then neither is Home Alone, because the parallels are too uncanny. No, I'm kidding. Actually, there are still no Christmas-themed games that I play or have found interesting. There is one game that I will now be playing every New Year's Day, but for reasons that I will make clearer after I do my next week in games. Call, are you interested? Perhaps so. But I do remember one particular game on Christmas Day that I gave to my daughter about 10 years ago. Now, she was the one kid that actually bothered wanting to be any sort of card or board gamer. There was a period of time when she was my shining star. She probably 8 or 9, and she was really good at board games. She could basically just clean the clock out of anyone. She just had a gift, and I didn't help her either. She just figured it out and went with it. And I had gotten her in a previous year, and so at some point Kinder Bunnies, or Kinder Bunnies. They weren't kinder when she played them. But the zenith of playing games at Christmas time for me, in near times or games, was that year when we got her Killer Bunnies. And then we played that game for months and months and months. Now, I don't vouch for the quality of Killer Bunnies or how the game ends or whatever. I vouch for the memories of that game and playing it with my kids. Nowadays, none of the kids care. Each one of them, I can't even, they don't even like video games or board games or none of them. They would rather fix cars or do social things or delve into music or something like that, which actually makes me proud because they're can't complain about that. But I do remember that time. That was a good time playing with my kids. But what about you guys? You guys got kids or Christmas memories of a game that you played, maybe not in your youth? I know I mentioned careers back when I was young, but I still am looking for a Christmas game that has a Christmas theme that is interesting and cool, because I do like to do that kind of weird stuff. Well, I'll pull out a game for a particular occasion. We'll do that with movies too, my wife and I. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to my 3 games of the week. Okay, first game that we're going to talk about is 2x2. This game is awesome, not because it's 2x2, but also because it's 2x2 for $2. I actually ended up buying several of these because they were very inexpensive clearance deals on Black Friday. But you would think 2x2, Noah, Ark, animals, you're kind of, saving animals. It's sort of like a Pompeii in that you're saving animals, but you're also trying to strand other people from saving animals. It's a little cutthroat for a game of its style. I have no idea if it's going to be any good. We're going to find out, and for other people. Next game is a game that I don't own because this box doesn't exist. This was the #1 game on my Christmas list, GMT's Nevsky. It's a game with a brand new kind of game style line that's been introduced by the guy that did Labyrinth and the Coin series. So I'm jazzed about it. I can't wait to see if I get it on Christmas. I have no idea if I am. But this game doesn't exist yet, and hopefully someone will give it to me for Christmas. And finally, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev. That's right. This is a 1-to-something player game. It's a little bit of everything. You got your area control. You got this new programming sort of system. You got great artwork. You got goals and deeds and resources and all that stuff, and it all packs it into a punch. Will I do a review of it? I just might. And with that, let's get to my alphabet soup. Okay, alphabet soup. We are at H. We have done a lot, and H is actually not very target rich as far as games that I own that start with the letter H. So we're going to go with the top. We're going to cough first. Nope, we're not going to cough second. First, what is the top of the line game that starts with the letter H for me? That has to be the Heroes of Land, Sea, and Air series. These 3 boxes put together are about the size of Gloomhaven. These games are really, really what I want in a dudes on a map style game. You have your forces, you build your forces, you upgrade your forces, you send your armies out, you have your own little spells or special abilities and stuff. When you're playing this game, and this still isn't like the best of the best as far as like tight controlled area in like dudes on a map games, but it's so big and so mighty and so cool with such awesome like miniatures that you put it to the table and you're gonna get a crowd. The other game that just continues to be a perennial favorite, and I got this as a Board Game Geek Christmas gift probably 10 years ago, Hammer of the Scots, which still is the block game to define all block games. What is the bottom of the barrel? That has to be Heroes of Graxia, which is a game with some of the most stunning artwork I've ever seen, and some of the worst rules, and some of the stupidest, just game, I like holes in the rules and game, trying to set it up and play it. It was horrible. I mean, they've done Guardians of Graxia and some of the other stuff, but it just tanked. I just got so disgusted, and any sort of feedback from the people making the game was just zilch at the time. So I just put it in a box and said bye bye. Someday I'll get rid of it, but just that artwork I love so much. So anyway, game that came out of nowhere was got to be Hawaii. I know that this was a Tom Bassel Destruction special, but I actually found it really, really pleasant. It was not at all what I expected, but I didn't mind. I thought that this guy's first game, this first foray of a game, was still mighty. I'm sorry he hasn't done anything since. But Hawaii is just a quirky little game with a quirky little premise that just, why not? Why not? Riches to Rags. This has to be a tough one because Hostage Negotiator is one. I've done a review on this, and it is tight, it is tense, and it is so thematic. It probably would get an honorable mention for thematic. Problem is, it's just too tense. I play it, and I just feel like tense afterwards. It really, that's probably the sign of a great game, is when you're in this intense situation from a game. You're trying to save people, literally save people, and it's keeping you on the edge of a razor. But it just wore me out. So this isn't a game that I think goes as far as rating top down. This is a game that just goes from like my willingness to play it went from great to like I'm going to play this once in a while when I have a tempered soul and nerves of steel, because sometimes I just want to play to chill. This is not a game I play to chill. So not a bad game. The rating stays the same. Just one that just kind of like fell out of favor with me on a consistent basis. Meaty Mighty Manwich, Hannibal and Hamilcar. I bought this thinking it looked like a, your typical, like, here's some dudes, here's a map, whatever. This game is like multiple games, multiple personalities of games. And it's a handful to learn. It is. It has great manual. Don't get me wrong. Great introduction path. It does as best as you can ask to try to like steer people into the game, but it is a behemoth. So, Test of Time. What game do I keep playing and playing and playing? Happy Birthday. Could also be Crappy Birthday. These games, for some reason, and I'm not a big party game animal. Party! I don't know. They just work. Like, okay, you learn a little bit about people, and you learn some crazy stuff, but it's the barrier to entry is 0. It's like, look at a picture, which one do you want? And so that gets the test of time. Now, the Comeback Tour, the game I'd really like to see redone is Heroes Wanted. This is an offbeat sort of old game that I got that sort of took heroes in a slapstick, wacky fashion. I used to play a game way in the, like the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, whatever, called Superhero League of Hoboken, which was this primitive game that had you being these crazy, wacky heroes of just bizarre special abilities. Heroes Wanted kind of falls into that category, and it's got these layers of just of quirkiness. I would like to see it redone in a streamlined fashion. We have a ton of superhero games right now that take themselves seriously. It'd be nice to have this one recreate itself, because it's not. It was still a fun game that you still felt like you're plowing through minions to get to the bosses and stuff, but I would love to see this one redone. An honorable mention, how can you go, for theme, Hunt for the Ring. If you want to feel like you're being hunted, or you feel like you're frustratingly hunting down something, Hunt for the Ring was great. It had fantastic manual that told you everything you need to know, and lots of descriptions. It had great gameplay ideas. It had I did a review of it, which was mostly received positively, some people not, because there were some definite grievances against the manual. But I think it did exactly what you want it to do if you want to play hunt people down, hidden figure, hidden who's there, whatever, triangulating where people are, and then bringing in just the right characters. It's not, Hunt for the Ring did not intend to try to compete with War of the Ring or Battle of the Five Armies or any of the other games. It was in its own vein, and it did it well. Artwork-wise, oh my gosh, Horrified came out of nowhere to surprise me on that one, because it just exudes Universal Studios old style monster era kind of artwork. Really clever, great game as well. But I almost put that in as it came out of nowhere, except I don't know, Hawaii just needed it to do. So anyway, that's it for this week on Harebrained Games. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.